Thanks. Good morning, everybody. Well, Eckhart did not get sick by design. He is really sick, but it shows you how flexible and adaptable we have to be in this digital world. So, I just want to make a few comments on Digital Factory because, I think the name is very literal to what it represents, how we really digitalize industry, process and discrete digitalized processes, and why that's having a game-changing, transformative effect inside of industry today. So, digital disruption, just in general, it seems like a topic that's, the number one theme on everybody's mind, but it's worth remembering one thing, that just a few years ago, it was considered the bleeding edge of technology, right? So a lot of us thought, hey, this is really not going to materialize, not going to come to fruition. It's sort of like an ERP rollout. It's very tough. It takes a lot of money. But I know that a lot of people in industry thought that it's a lot of hype and that it would fade away. We wouldn't have a lot of action or change around it. And as the discussions this morning made really clear, and the proof points out there in industry, in all these different industries, it doesn't matter, whether you're in discrete industries, hybrid, process industries, that couldn't be further from the truth. So it's real, it's happening all around us, and it's a very scalable technology. So hopefully we'll talk about that here on the panel. I'll try to get this right here. So, when we talk about a definition, when I always think about what digitalization is, to me it's really taking the billions of intelligent devices, machines, and data, creating a bridge between the virtual and real worlds, and then finding a way to turn all of that into business value. And that's the imperative. You got to turn it into business value very, very quickly. No one's going to wait 3 or 4 years for ROI. No one's going to put a lot of CapEx out there today. So everything has to be done scalable. Everything has to be done with the perspective that return on investment has to happen very, very quickly. And when we talk about this in Siemens, we talk about a set of solutions called the digital enterprise. And by that, I mean a holistic approach between software and hardware, because it's important that you think about a digital thread and being able to holistically do it. It's very difficult to do this with bolt-ons. And so, you can make an acquisition, you can do a bolt-on, but where you don't have the IP, you don't own the source code, even after that, it takes a tremendous amount of R&D and innovation to integrate the meat points of one framework into the other. And this is where the productivity occurs. This is where the productivity comes from. So, for us, the holistic approach is really a very, very critical topic to drive major increments of productivity. You can certainly do more with automation. You can certainly do more independently with software, but to do it holistically is where you get the real gain. So, in our world, let me just move to the advances. So in our world, we talk about combining the real worlds of automation and the virtual world of software. And in the past, these worlds were very, very separate. Culturally, they were separate in manufacturing operations, but also technologies were separate, and they weren't really integrated together. So in fact, when you look at our portfolio, we've invested more than $10 billion in acquisitions in the past decade in industry automation, in the process space, and software to develop a very, very comprehensive portfolio to create what we call the digital twin. We want to be able to simulate, to virtualize everything with a very, very high degree of accuracy. So that means, how fluids flow through pipes, the mechanical layout, the noise and vibration and harshness, the mechanical properties, the physical properties. So everything that makes that digital model look like a real model, because from there you can do a lot with it. So, and doing that, we made that investment in the past decade, and this is what's really giving our environment a very, very decisive advantage and competitive edge in how they go to market, time to market, and flexibility. So just a couple examples here. In the food and beverage industry, you have a lot of companies today that are struggling to keep up with the changing consumer tastes. Smaller, much more aggressive competitors. There's a surge in popularity of meal kits, of grocery delivery. You add that to the competitive mix. You have online grocery ordering, which is just growing at an exponential scale. We're involved in a lot of automation around online grocery ordering, and that will absolutely change the dynamic in how you order groceries going forward. And you may have also encountered this new phenomenon called a grocerant, where you can go to a grocery store, you can buy your food, you can eat a prepared meal. So all these consumer dynamics are really changing this mass customization play as to how companies are working, how fast they have to innovate, how quickly they have to mass customize to serve their consumer environment. So, before the picture sounded like this, long product development cycles, a lot of laborious conversion of production lines, and a lot of consumer tolerance for product fluctuations. Today, these are really a thing of the past. And now, you see a lot of food and beverage producers embracing flexibility, product variety, again, mass customization in their environment. It's always a stateside business, and of course, quality. And so a lot of manufacturers are achieving big breakthroughs when they're able to simulate in their plants, build in flexibility, commission it quickly, increase the data transparency of what they're doing. So this is all monumentally changing the way an aging infrastructure in that industry is rapidly adopting today. And the ones that embrace it are really the ones that are going to be differentiated. The other ones will be digitally disrupted. So it's not a matter of if, but when. The chemical industry, also has its own dynamics. So it's embracing, and there are a lot of real industry examples behind all this. I just don't want to, single out the names right now, but the chemical industry is embracing digitalization as well. So in the past, if you think about this historically, you decided what you wanted to make. You built a specialized automated, you built a specialized automated plant that would really operate and make large batches for a number of years. And there was a very heavy reliance on paper documentation, manual processes, making repairs after a machine went down, and it caused a lot of unnecessary downtime, a lot of excess waste. Today, that emphasis is on smaller, is really on flexibility, smaller batch sizes, simulation of plant operations before equipment is ever installed or commissioned. So you can do all this virtually. And we always say simulation is the greatest decisive advantage manufacturers have today. So modular plant construction, it allows machine manufacturers, plant operators to be more flexible. Documentation in a chemical plant is completely digitalized, and then you use a lot of analytics capabilities. So again, these are just some very general trends to think about, but the digital thread permeates all of this. And then just in closing, what I think all these examples make clear is that the benefits of going digital and doing it in a scalable way are very, very clear for industry. So there's no reason to hesitate to move from what people did in the past to the world of digitalization. So people always ask me, what's the biggest mistake I make, when I think about adoption of digital technologies? And my comment is, because everyone starts the journey at a very, very different place, it's not starting. Everyone starts at a different place, but it's not starting. And if you don't start, you'll be digitally disrupted, and we see this constantly. So, and by the way, this is not always the bigger that win the battle. Sometimes it's the smaller, more agile players that are able to embrace these technologies, get the cultural workforce on board, and make this happen. Okay? So thank you very much. I look forward to the panel. Andy, thank you very much again for a very great, successful conference. Yet another one. Thank you. You can go.